Hey everybody, long time no hear from. So how do I follow up perhaps my two most popular episodes that I've recorded so far? I record an episode asking for money. Anyways, this is definitely going to be the Patreon episode, and I just want you to hang around and maybe hear a little bit of what I have to say, and don't skip over this episode. In fact, if you hang around and listen to this show, I'm going to tell a story after, a personal story about my first blood ritual. So, there you go. Everybody loves blood rituals, so if you hang around for the Patreon stuff, then you get to hear me talk about a blood ritual. So, come for the Patreon, stick around for the blood ritual. Am I right? All right. A lot of people recently have been saying that, Doug, the podcast is getting better and better with every episode. And in a way, I feel that that's true. Here's the thing. There's a reason for that. Since March 10th, I have basically been laid off from work. I don't know if it's furloughed or laid off right now. They're I literally got a letter last week from the museum that I work at, basically saying that, hey, you're not fired, but you might be fired. So I've had a lot of time since March, and if you go to about early March and see the kind of the quality of the podcast before then, when I was working, 4 or 5 days a week kind of thing, and the episodes are kind of coming in at 45 minutes to an hour, and then March hits and you get episodes nearly pushing 2 hours long. It doesn't mean that longer episodes means better quality. It's just that I've been able to devote pretty much all of my attention into the episodes. I don't know if people realize just how much work I put into the regular episodes that I do for What Magic Is This. I would say each episode I probably do 30 to 40 hours of work 3 times a week. So that's a bit much, and I'm not asking for your pity or anything like that. I love it more than anything else on earth. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. I have to watch my mental health recently because it's one of those things that when I finish an episode, I can't wait to start on the new one. I don't even give myself a little bit of a break, and I've noticed that, that's a good thing, but also in a way it's kind of like Doug, you need to just chill out give yourself a day, maybe 2 days, and then get cracking on whatever you want to, whatever your next topic is. So to say that the podcast is my favorite and the most fruitful thing that I've done so far in my life is a bit of an understatement. I've done a ton with my life. I've been an actor. I've done film. I've done a lot. And for some reason, this podcast is the thing that really brings me a large amount of joy. I've also been getting a couple of direct messages or emails basically saying, Doug, you were born to do this. And in a way, I agree. It's not so much the podcast as what I was born to do. I think there was one thing that I was born to do, and I've talked about it before, and that's share. About 4 years ago, I was involved in some very heavy ancestral interactions, and I really pushed the ancestor stuff. And about 2 years ago, this is kind of the high point of this, I was feeling somewhat rudderless, and I just basically, I don't ask too much of my ancestors, but I asked them, it's like, I don't know, give me a sign, give me something, let me know what I need to do, give me some direction. And they basically said, you know what you need to do. And I went, I don't. I really, at this point, I don't. And then they went, yeah, you do. And it something rolled out of, and it was audible. Something rolled out of my lungs and out of my larynx, and it was basically just a gurgle. I need to share. So I know I needed to share, and this podcast is about. It's to fulfill this need that I somehow have, that I want to share the things that I find interesting about the world, not just magic, but the world itself. Is I need to share that stuff, and that's always been something that has brought me a great joy, and it seems to be working because a lot of people are very receptive to what I'm doing on this show. So, going off a little bit of a tangent there, the episodes are getting better because I have been paid by my government to basically not infect anybody else. So they give me some money to basically relax and take it easy. And so I've been taking the last, basically since March, I've been concentrating almost my entire life to the podcast, and I hope it shows, and I think it does. But here's the thing, that runs out. In fact, this is the month where it runs out. September is when I no longer get paid by the government to not infect other people. Now, with the Patreon, this is an opportunity for you, my listeners, and my friends, who I love very, very much, to support the show and to be able to give back a little something of what I've given you. And I don't expect anything from anybody, ever. I mean, I've supported a couple of podcasts, and I understand how essential supporting the things you love actually is. I just want to put this out here and hopefully see if it lands with any of you. If ever there was a podcast that you can see your support and patronage add to the quality and the sheer purview of content, this is it. This is the one. My podcast. I have this idea that should I be able to concentrate basically my entire life to the podcast, you will see it get better and better, and you will hear the things that you want to hear. You will get the information even more so than ever before, because I was meant to do this. This is it, and I hope that is apparent to a lot of you. So I don't know if I want to do this. I might cut this. I don't really know. But I've been very poor in my life at certain points in my life. I've been pick half-smoked cigarettes out of ashtrays poor. And I've also been fairly well off. I've had moments of my life where I've been rolling in clover financially. Going between the two of them, I would rather do something I love and be poor than do something I am not passionate about and be all right financially. And I don't want to try and think negative, but maybe I shouldn't tack on the I'd rather be poor. I'd rather do the things I love and be okay. Yes, that's what I will say. And so if we're going to talk about sheer numbers, basically if I have 200 patrons, that changes my life. That is literally me being able to concentrate on my podcast basically full time, and the content that will be through the Patreon membership itself. That's my life now. Of course, I don't want to stop at 200 patrons. If it reaches 200 and you just, oh, Doug's okay. No, I need any kind of support, and all support would be beneficial. So I don't think other podcasts are doing what I do, and I'm not trying to make myself look better than anybody else in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I noticed a very distinct lack of a certain kind of information that I want people to come to Magic and feel somewhat welcomed. I wanted to have a bit of a comforting, guiding hand into the things that I think are most interesting about Magic. And a lot of other podcasts, they don't do that. So I think that we've got something special, guys. And I think that if you were to support the show, you wouldn't regret it. This is the one, really. So before anything, I just want you to know about the Patreon. It's only going to be one tier. You either support me or you don't. That's it. And it's not going to be overly expensive. I believe it's going to be $7 US each month, and that's it. That's all it's going to be. You get access to everything else. As much as I hate, Neoplatonism and stratification, I dislike it in a Patreon membership as well. No shade to anybody who does do that, but I just think it's a bit silly. That's just me. As far as content that you're going to get on the Patreon membership, it's going to be whatever the hell I want. And don't let that distract you or turn you away. I think that if I think it's interesting, you guys will as well. So there's going to be book reviews. There's going to be interviews with Patreon members. There's going to be a chance for you to, as a Patreon member, be a guest of the podcast, which will be really, really interesting. We're going to start to expedite episodes. So if there's things that you guys as a group, my Patreon members, really want to hear talked talked about, it will be expedited, so it'll be heard much, much sooner. But the thing I'm most excited about I'm going to be releasing some videos. Yeah, I'm going to be doing videos of things like creating incense and setting up an ancestral altar, all of that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, and much more. I'm going to have much more things. But I find the idea of having the same thing each month with a Patreon membership or a Patreon account, it's a little bit boring. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and just basically say each month is going to be different. One month is going to be different from the next month, and it's all going to be good content. I just want you to know that. I think I'm good at realizing what you guys want. So hang in there with that. That's it. One tier, $7 every month. You support me or you don't, and no begrudging anybody if they don't. I know things are really, really iffy right now. We are headed into some ridiculously interesting times. Yes, my own future, I really don't know what's going to happen. If the Patreon doesn't go very well, chances are I do have to go back to some kind of a day job, which I don't really want to do. And that's not what this is about. It's not Doug trying to avoid working, but this is more about Doug trying to find dreams. And apparently he likes to talk about himself in third person. Anyway, also I know maybe the $7 a month, that's a bit much to ask, Doug. That's half of what I pay for Netflix, and you do very little. Netflix gives me so much pleasure. I get it. I don't know if they give you the edutainment that you'd like to get, specifically with things like the occult, but yes, I'm just going to put that out there. Now, some of you might say, look, I want to support, but I don't really have the money to say that I can invest $7 every month. That's too much. Also, on my website, I will have a little PayPal me thing where you can just donate. If you want to throw me a few shekels, say like, Doug, that episode you did about, I don't know, the Grimorum Verum, that was a cool episode. Here's $4. There you go. Or if you want to give me $1,000, just put it out there. Between $3,000 and $1,000. I'm cool with either or any of that. So that's it. That's basically my Patreon pitch for you guys. So I've run it up the flagpole. I'm going to try and see how many of you salute it. And yeah, you all mean the world to me. And I'm not just saying that. I get so much joy from the interactions that I have with all of you. It's not a hyperbole, but I do think that each and every one of you that enjoys the podcast is a friend of mine. And yeah, I'm bringing in some Mr. Rogers stuff into this because magic is not about trying to push people away. It's not exclusive. It is really one of those things that I think is the stuff that this universe runs on. This is it. And it is available to each and every one of you. And if it's not approached in a manner that is welcoming, I think that you are doing something fundamentally wrong. Magic is for everyone. And I want them to realize that. This is the podcast to support that will spread magic like no one else really can. And who knows where it will go. So this is part of the journey. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you for listening to the Patreon pitch. And yeah, should be up there. And you're all welcome to join. And we'll see what happens when you guys finally log on to the Patreon membership account. I'm going to have a little video up on there for you guys to have a look at. Yes. So there you go. So that's the Patreon pitch. So, blood rituals. Blood rituals. They're fun, aren't they? I don't know if you guys have ever done one, but I have. Here's the story. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but my favorite grimoire to work with and to interact with is a grimoire called The Magical Treatise of Solomon, or the Hygromantia. It is a wonderful, wonderful work. It's called the true ancestor of the Key of Solomon. I think it's so much more than that. It can be involved in almost every aspect of my magic, and it's almost got like a framework as to what can happen on certain days. Anyways, I'm going to do a full episode on the Hygromantia for sure. But just know that I believe I bought it in 2015 or 2016, and since then it's never that far away. It's one that I use absolutely constantly, and I will take things from it to use with other grimoire work and interaction and playtime. Anyways, If you do have the book, you will know what I'm talking about here. A grimoire is basically a book of spells, and a lot of times the spells are for conjuration or invocation and evocation of angels, demons, spirits, all of that kind of fun stuff, even like scrying and seeing the future and whatnot. The Hygromantia is not like the Ars Goetia. You don't get one demon and summon one demon and bring it in. It's like to get a multitude of spirits involved, except in one case. So if you do own the magical treatise, here I've got it right here. I'll open it up. What you will notice as soon as you get to the manuscript translations. The very first one, I believe it's oh God, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this. It's the Bonaniensis 3632 manuscript. Bonaniensis 3632. The first spell, and this is literally like the first third of the book is talking about the manuscripts and kind of the tables that they use, and then you get to the manuscripts themselves and the translations. The first spell in this is water divination, and then the second spell is very cool because it's the evocation of the black demon. So it's like it's no baby steps as far as the Hygromantia is concerned. So the evocation of the black demon. Here's what happens with the evocation of the black demon. I'm actually going to read the whole thing to you. Do this after the third hour of the night has passed. Tidy up your house, because it must be totally clean and empty. Lay a new tablecloth on a table and place an empty bowl upon it, together with 2 lit candles on candlesticks, one at each side. At the other sides of the table, place another earthen bowl and a censer with lit charcoals and incense and various peeled fruits. Then take a knife with a black handle in your right hand, trace the circle 3 times around the table, and each time recite the following conjuration. I conjure you, Mortzi, or human ghost, or haunting of this place, come to me. Now that I invoke you at this table that I prepared for you, eat and drink from the food I prepared for you. And when you see that he ate, conjure him this way. I conjure you, Mortzi, do not defecate, do not urinate, until you tell me the whole truth in whatever I will ask you. Do this 3 times with the knife around the table, and when you finish the 3 circles, thrust the knife into the table and recite the following. I nail you here, Mortzi, or haunting of this place. And he will come to you at once. Then ask whatever you want, and he will answer all your questions. And if you want to banish him, draw the knife out of the table, and he will go away from you. Do this when the moon is waxing. That's just one spell from this incredibly wonderful, wonderful book. I suggest it for everybody. If grimoires or what I think the actual Western magical tradition is interesting to you, this is the one to pick up. Everybody needs to buy this book. It is amazing. Anyways, so that was it. So at one point, I think about 3-4 years ago, I was going to do this. I was going to do the evocation of the black demon. So got all the things together. It was all good. Everything was fine. Little tablecloth. Of course, it's a bunch of fruit. I think I used like peaches and some interesting stuff. Anyways, here's the other part of the story. I have a thing for knives. No, I don't have a thing for knives. I have a thing for my somewhat ceremonial knives. I had an uncle who was basically a second father to me. He loved knives as well. And so he had a ton of knives. He had well over 100 knives, and he would always go to antique stores and get knives. When he passed away in 2013, he gave me a lot of his knives. A lot of his knives were bequeathed to me. Some of them I use for my magic, and he would have definitely found that very cool. He would not have had a problem with it. He had a copy of the Necronomicon and stuff. He liked this stuff. Anyways, there was one knife in particular that I really, really wanted, and it is a Scandu. Now, I've talked about this a bit in the Magical Tools episode. It's basically a black knife that the Scottish people would put in their sock, and it was used to peel fruit. And it's a Scottish knife, anyways, but it's jet black with some silver and stuff on it. I grew up with this knife. This was always one of those knives that my uncle had around, and he would always tell me, like, Doug, you don't take the knife out of the scabbard. I don't know what it's called, the sheath. You don't take the knife out because you'd have to draw blood. So my entire life with this knife, up until I actually got it by my aunt, it had this gravity to it, this thing that if I was to use this knife, that somehow there was some power there, and there truly was. So yes, when I finally got the knife, it became one of my ceremonial daggers. Basically, it became my athame, or don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. I don't really care. My black-handled knife, one of them. So for this one, because it seems this spell is a bit weird. There's really not a lot to it. Yeah, it's a tablecloth, and then you trace the circle with the knife, some fruit. You just ask a demon not to shit or piss where you live. Cool. I was gonna give it a try, and I was gonna give it my all. I really went all out on this spell. Waxing moon. I did all the things correctly, as you do, as you do. That's another thing about the Hygromantia is that the spells are usually they're somewhat simple, and there's a lot of ways to adapt them and to work around them. It really is the best grimoire for this kind of thing. So let me describe the knife. I have it in my hand here. Again, yep, black handle. The handle itself is made out of some kind of strange resin, and it's got these strange grooves in it. It feels okay in the hand, It feels okay. It just feels okay in the hand. But the blade is sharp. Oh my gosh, it's sharp, yeah. And of course, there's some little writing that I have on the blade and also on the handle itself. I'm not going to give those secrets away. You guys are going to have to figure out what the things to write on your black-handled dagger are. Anyways, so come the day that I am to do the evocation of the black demon. Everything's going right. I've got the incense. My place is basically like hotboxed with an incredible amount of incense. It's perfect. Everything's going well. I'm wearing white linens. I tend to wear white linens when I'm doing any kind of the good work, the good stuff. So yeah, I do it. I'm going through everything. I'm doing great. I got the fruit. I do this thing, and where you ask the spirit to come and have some food. Come and have some fruit. I know you like fruit. Enjoy. It's all going great. And then as I'm not going to describe what I'm actually feeling or what I noticed, but something very tangible was certainly happening. And so then I perceive that it's time. It's time. So I take the scantu, or my knife, in my hands, and I unsheath it. It becomes time. I feel that there is a spirit there, and I slam the knife into the table. Now, again, the handle on this thing is not very good. As the knife hits the wood of the table, my hand runs down the handle and straight onto the blade, and I slice open 3 of my 5 fingers somewhat deep. It was very shocking. I didn't get up in pain, or I kind of still roll with it, but once it happened, I remember inhaling very sharply, like, and I open my hand, and the space where your hand meets where your fingers meet your palm, 3 of those fingers were deeply, deeply cut. Not my pinky, but my ring finger, my middle finger, and my pointer finger. There was a big gash there, and yeah, it was bleeding somewhat profusely. So I don't get up. I don't do my, what you normally would do, run, disinfect, run underwater, what kind of thing. I just kind of stare at the blood trickling down my hands. Like a pro, I roll up one of my sleeves of my linen shirt because it's white, and I don't want to buy another linen shirt. So I roll up my sleeve, and I just kind of go with it. Meanwhile, I'm bleeding quite a bit. There was a lot of blood everywhere. The hand bleeds quite a bit. I don't know if you guys realize that, but if you've never cut your hand real good, you bleed a lot from your hands. Just gonna put that out there. So the ritual literally became a blood ritual. There was a ton of it, and it was everywhere. Suffice to say, I finished the ritual, and I go through it, and eventually I do go and get a couple of Band-Aids. I disinfected and all of that good stuff. It wasn't enough. I was monitoring. It wasn't enough to get stitches, but it was darn near close. It was actually quite close. And you can still kind of see the cut on my hand, because I know you guys are worried about my general well-being. But there you go. Now, the question is, did Mortsey appear? Did I pin him down? Well, that's a story for another time. Or if you meet me in real life, I'll tell you. But I just want to say, there's a reason that the Hygromantia is my favorite grimoire. And that is my story of my first blood ritual. So it was an unwilling blood ritual, but a blood ritual nevertheless. And yeah, that tablecloth that didn't get used again. Well, I'll just put it that way. So, thanks everybody for listening. I know this isn't a full episode. You'll get 2 episodes before the end of the month for sure. Those are going to come kind of towards the end of the month. But yeah, I want to thank you so much for listening to this podcast. There's not going to be any show notes for this one, or maybe there will be. I'll throw some show notes out there. Why not, right? But yeah, if you guys have any information that you need to get, go to whatmagicisthis.com. There you can find a way to subscribe to my podcast, either iTunes or Spotify, YouTube even. Fairly popular on YouTube. You can find my Twitter account, my Instagram account, and my Facebook account all on whatmagicisthis.com. If you like the show, please tell a friend, let somebody know. If you have any questions, you are totally welcome to email me. I will answer them. I'm not just answering Patreon member questions. If you have a question, go ahead and answer. But I'm pretty sure on my Patreon membership, there's going to be some wonderful discussions there. That's where the good stuff is going to be. I'll just put it that way. For each and every episode, I do some show notes. Again, I'm not sure how many there's going to be on this episode, but there will be some for sure. Also, if you go to my webpage and click on the menu there, that'll take you to the Patreon membership. You guys can join up, or you can even have the little PayPal donate button. If you don't want to be a monthly member, you're certainly welcome to throw me $20 or something like that. $20 to $1,000, or what was it? $3 to $1,000. There you go. If you enjoy the podcast, leave a review. Leave a review on iTunes. Those are always appreciated. Always, always. I'm getting a lot of really, really good reviews, so you guys are awesome. You're all excellent. Thank you so, so much. And that's it, really. Quick and painless, right? Quick and painless. Yes, next episode I know you guys are going to love, because we're going to be talking about maybe my favorite thing in Magic. Maybe my favorite thing. So if that's a bit of a teaser for you, I'm really looking forward to it. So that's it, guys. Stay hopeful, stay healthy, stay luminous. I love you all. I really do. My listeners are the absolute best. We're such a positive group, and yeah, I'm so lucky to have each and every one of you. I really am. Yeah. Thank you so, so much, guys. And yeah, join Patreon. It's going to be a fun time. This is going to be good for me. It's going to be good for you. And it's going to be good for the world of magic. So there you go. We'll talk at you soon. Bye-bye.